to the Great Basin seasonal outlook for December through March. Over the last 30 days, we've definitely seen a shift in the weather pattern, which has brought high pressure ridging to much of the west, giving us above normal temperatures and well below normal precipitation, which is certainly a difference from the weather we saw in October, which was cooler and wetter. Over the last 2 months since October 1st, the beginning of the water year in 2021, you can see obviously we did have that precipitation in October, which has kept our water year precipitation well above normal over parts of the northern half of the Great Basin and still below normal over southern areas. Currently, we have no large fires in the Great Basin and just a few large fires across the U.S. Currently, our snowpack has now dropped to below normal region-wide once again. We did see the snowpack peak to well above normal with the storms in October, but with the very dry conditions we've seen recently, we've seen a lot of this snow melt, especially due to the warm temperatures. Therefore, we are seeing again that return to below or even well below normal snowpack in some areas. Soil moisture, however, remains near normal. We did have quite a bit of moisture, especially over the northern half of the basin in October. And again, this has soaked into the soils, keeping our soil moistures generally near normal across the area. 10-hour field moistures, however, with the very warm and dry conditions we've seen recently, have dried out, and it's no surprise that it's below the 3rd to 5th percentile over the southern half of the Great Basin, still doing fairly well further north across Idaho. 100-hour field moisture has dropped to below 6 to 10% over the southern half of the region with that dry weather, and similarly 1,000-hour field moisture has dropped again into that 6 to 10% level in the far south. The evaporative demand drought index with those warm and dry conditions show a little bit more rapid drought developing over southern areas of the Great Basin, not quite as much further north where areas have not been as warm or as dry for as long. However, again, we are seeing that drying trend across much of the Great Basin. The drought monitor and outlook are indicated here. Our most recent drought monitor on the left still shows large areas of extreme to exceptional drought across Utah into the southern half of Nevada and also up across central Idaho. Areas that have improved have been parts of southern and eastern Idaho into Wyoming, northern Nevada, and even far south along the Arizona Strip. However, we'll likely see the drought continue to redevelop in the far south, with the warm and dry conditions expected to be more persistent, and we'll likely see better chances of improvement of drought continuing over much of Idaho into Wyoming as storm systems, once they return to the Great Basin, still will be targeting the northern half of the region more than areas further south. So putting everything together, looking at La Nina and El Nino, currently we are in a state of La Nina where these lines have dipped down into the blue areas where the sea surface temperatures are on the cooler side. We'll likely stay in this regime for the next several months and see some warming as we go into the next fire season. What this typically means for our weather pattern are warmer and drier conditions for the southern areas of the Great Basin going through the winter, and a better chance at cooler and wetter weather targeting areas up across Idaho and Wyoming, the Pacific Northwest, and the Northern Rockies. And other areas of the Great Basin across Nevada and Utah will likely be in between, so we will see those storms occasionally at times. Looking at the 8 to 14 day outlook, taking us from December 7th through the 13th, still showing very warm conditions with ridging in the west. We will see a shift to some precipitation moving in towards the end of this period, so towards the December 9th, 10th, 11th, somewhere in there towards the middle of the month is when we'll see this moisture return to the northern half of the Great Basin. But until then, the first week or two of December will be on the dry and very warm side. Looking further ahead at the next 4 months, that weather pattern with, again, La Nina really holding strong through the winter months is still favoring the cooler and wetter conditions over the northern areas of the Great Basin and still warm and very dry over southern areas. Looking at the 1 month outlook, this is now from the Climate Prediction Center. The past outlook was from Predictive Services, just mirroring what we've just seen generally throughout December, warm and dry in the south, and precipitation eventually moving in to the northern areas by the middle of the month. And then looking from January through March, again, that same pattern. Warm and dry in the south with cooler and wetter conditions more likely up north. So putting everything together, we're just looking for normal fire potential across the Great Basin for December through January, February, and March. Some exceptions will be after prolonged dry periods. If we have a windy condition scenario set up, we could see an uptick in fire behavior or fire potential for a very short period of time while those winds are stronger. However, right now we don't really have a huge issue with fine fuels across the Great Basin, so that will minimize that threat of even those stronger windstorms being a concern. But it certainly will be something to watch after prolonged dry periods, watching the weather as it shifts and brings winds. We could see some uptick in fire potential. That concludes our webcast for this month. Check back next month for the latest updates.